Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a book review and book talk of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. First off, I'll be doing a spoiler-free section and then I'll be jumping into spoilers, but I'll warn you ahead of time. The spoiler-free section though will be very quick because I want to get to the spoilers. First off, as a little disclaimer, I was sent the paperback version by Bloomsbury Australia in exchange for an honest review, so thank you very much Bloomsbury Australia. I now have 2 copies of the paperback and 2 copies of the hardcover. This hardcover is the Australian edition, which I'll quickly show you in case you haven't seen it. So if you take off this, because it's just easier to do, as you can see here, we've got a gorgeous print. Oh my god, it's so pretty. And then on the back, whoa, there's like a sticker there and I really want to get that off. But look how pretty it is. Yes, my really good friend Alex over at Zombie Booktuber got this for me and I am blessed. Blessed. As this is the 3rd book of the series and I don't want to spoil anything, this section will be very short and sweet of what I can say. Overall, my general thoughts are I really enjoyed it. Nothing will compare to Akamath for me, I don't think personally. I still think this book gets to me between a 4.5 and 5 stars. More leaning towards a 5 out of 5 stars, but Akamath just gets like an off the rails skating of like a 7, 8 out of 5 stars. Without spoiling anything, I think each book in the series is very different. I believe Akamath really focused on character development. This one still focused on that, but it was very war driven too. Very different, but also really great at the same time and what we've come to expect and love. And if you enjoyed the series, I'm pretty sure you will definitely enjoy this one. Now let's get into spoilers because I really can't discuss much else. Like, this is the 3rd book in the series. I need to get into spoilers. So I've got a little notepad here with a list of thoughts. So let's bring that up. My quick little notebook of thoughts here. So these thoughts are in no particular order. They're all just going to be scattered around, just what I thought of jotting at the time. However, before we get into this, I want to note something. I don't pretend that I can pronounce words very well. I never have and I never will. And I know that it may anger some of you how I'm going to pronounce these following names. Please note, I know that Sarah J Maas has said, or Maas or whatever, see, this is exactly what we're getting to, that these are the proper pronunciations. If I want to follow them, I will. If I don't, I won't. These characters are not real. And therefore, if I want to call Reese Rice, I will. If you're going to have a problem with that, maybe click away from the video. I might even differ between the two because like my friend keeps calling me out and calling him Reese on Rise and I'm like, but I like Rise, I don't like Reese. So I guess I'll just go see how I go. But don't get angry. Or if you are going to, then just leave. It's a pronunciation of a word. There is so much other shit you could get fucking angry about. Don't be angry here. Alright, now that that little disclaimer's out of the way, let's jump into this. First thing on the list is Netza. I warned you, don't get angry. I really didn't know what to think of Netza. I had heard some slight spoilers before jumping into this. The first one was that I accidentally spoiled myself. I got the Akatar colouring book and I didn't realise that it had spoilers for all the books, so I flipped to the end page and saw a picture of Feyre and Reese together. So I knew that obviously things were gonna end up okay between them and they were gonna survive, which actually came in quite handy later on. The other thing I'd heard, which wasn't really a spoiler but something to, I guess, take of note, maybe it's considered a spoiler for some people, I don't know, was that they really liked Netza's character development. They really believe she developed a lot. So I went into here being like, right, I'm ready. Let's get some Netza character development. You know, I'm kind of feeling iffy about her. I really don't like her. Let's get into it. I'm ready to like her. And she was salty AF. It's like someone poured a bucket of salt over this lady and was like, yeah. I mean, and she has a right to be salty. And I don't think I personally didn't truly realise how much she deserved to be salty, for the better use of a word, until she kind of got into it and it's all very like realised that like they didn't know like how long they'd been in the cauldron. Really angers me at that point too, right? There's a line like where Freya says, we never actually asked them how long it had been for them inside the cauldron. For them, like, it was only a couple of seconds, but they don't know what it was like for Elaine and Netza. It could have been years for all they know. And that was still never addressed, and I just want to know. Anyway, Netza has a reason to be salty about this whole fucking situation. And I don't think I will ever personally forgive her for what happened. In the first book, she was the eldest sister, and yes, elder sisters have the utmost pressure but she still didn't really do anything. I understand then that probably she's angry at Freya because Freya represents everything that she couldn't be at that time, and then Freya gets to go off and have a really good life, and then they get a good life too, but then Netza gets drawn into it and she didn't want to be drawn into it. I don't think you really truly realise how much Netza has suffered until we start getting more and more into the book and we get to understand her a little bit more and see where she's coming from and her point of view on things. I definitely think Netza is a really strong and powerful person. I still don't fully agree with her. I can't say she's my favourite character at all, but I understand her and I feel like that's the moment the best I can give. However, her and Cassian, I really like that end. Oh my gosh, yes please, I ship them. When is the mating bond gonna click? I was waiting. I was alright, when is it gonna click? Because last book it was you get a mating bond and you get a mating bond. I was come on, give us the mating bond, and then it never happened, but I still have hopes. Then we have Elaine and Lucien. Elaine really surprised me in this book at the start. I was wow, she completely took this the way I didn't expect her to take it. She's taken it so much harder than I thought she would, but to be honest, it kind of makes sense. And the more I thought about it, the more I totally understood. I mean, she loved the guy that she was engaged to, even though personally he seemed like a bit of a dick from the very small fraction that we got of him. And her whole world was again thrown apart. Her life is being really shitty. Again, Freya's and Netza's has been, and so I understand. And then she's also dealing with the fact that she's just here and she doesn't understand what's happening to her. It's not until the other people tell her who she is when they fucking finally realize what's going on and that she's not crazy, and this is why she keeps getting these visions or whatever she's getting. Now, speaking of Elaine and Lucien, I'm really happy, first off, that we got to see Lucien redeem himself in this book. Last book I felt was a little bit of a kick to both Lucien and Tamlin, to be honest, throwing it out there. And whilst I definitely saw it in the first book and hints of it, I still feel like I wanted those characters to be redeemed a bit in this book, and they both were. Lucien is, I think, conflicted about the bond, especially because of the way he felt about his human person that he loved that was murdered, that I can't remember the name of. And from the little bits that we did glimpse of things, he's a little bit conflicted by it. And Elaine, I think at the minute, doesn't even want to acknowledge it because, she was meant to marry this guy and now she's been thrown at this mating bond. And I think it was important that Freya asks Rhys, can a mating bond be rejected? And he was yes, it can be. And I think it'll be interesting to see if it is or not. I think I'll feel a little bit bad for the characters if it is. I'd like to see them happily end up together, but I'm not sure if they are the perfect match. A lot of people after I finished the book were Azrael and Elaine, Azrael and Elaine, and I really didn't open myself up for reading it for the first time to see that. I'm currently rereading it now, and I can see that ship. Again, I'm not sure if it's a perfect match for Elaine right now. I think personally Elaine just kind of needs to spend some time for herself. Maybe Netza does too, and kind of rebuild themselves just like Freya did and got to, and then maybe she can be with someone that she chooses and that they choose her, and it's all consensual and happy. But I don't think right now we really need to be throwing her into be with this person at the minute. I don't think she needs that at the minute, and I don't think she's in the right mental state for that at the minute. So that's my little thoughts on that. I also love seeing more of the courts. I'm really happy that we got that. I love exploring the different courts in this realm. I think it's beautiful and fantastic, and I will just always love that, and I hope that in the other books we do get to see that. The sass and banter was on point in this book, as it always is. I love the sass and banter in the Night Court, in the family. It's just fantastic, and it will never grow old. I also really love learning about the library. I love how Rhys has created this sanctuary for these women who have been abused, and they can come here and this is their home and it's a safe place for them for as long as they want and need. And then when that gets attacked, Rhys feels terrible because it was the one place that they felt they were safe, and then that gets attacked. So obviously there's is it safe for us anymore, and going on in their probably minds, and Rhys too, it was a safe place for him too. So I don't know, I just really love learning about the library and what it was, and I was really angry too that it was attacked and it was violated in that way. And also I love just reading about libraries in general because books are amazing. Also just love how Rhys treats Freya as an equal. He's always, in this book especially, just wanting to know her opinion, her thoughts, her feelings on things, and values them and treats them with the respect and will listen to her. And this book, it's still strong on that path, and I think it's really important and something that we might not get to see as much. It's really important to have a really strong female character and characters that then put their trust in that female character and be yes. So I feel like Sarah J. Maas does a really good job of doing that. With all the criticism she may get, I feel like that is something she does fantastically. A little bit jumping onto a little bit controversial topics here, but just very lightly because I don't really want to get into it. Hellion, being bisexual. You may know I'm bisexual. I've done a video about it. I'm talking about it. So I thought I'd quickly mention it. I liked it, but it was interesting. I don't want to say trope. I mean, he seems to enjoy threesome foursomes, and why is that something that does annoy me, that we get to see with bisexual characters in that trope, because it can be completely the opposite of that, but it seems to be a trope that every kind of character is, and it was a little bit frustrating that Helene was the same in this regard. But you know what, if the character likes threesomes or foursomes, no matter what of their sexual identity, that's fine. I was a little bit disappointed about it, but I was happy to see that Helene was bisexual. I also liked his character from what we got of it. I'd like to see him develop more. I'd also like a book kind of based on it seeming that we've come to the realization that he is Lucien's father, which I thought was really interesting and I really want to delve into more, which we didn't get to really explore much in this book, which I totally understand. It's not Lucien's story, but I would love to get to in later books. More also being bisexual, leaning towards maybe preferring females more, was really interesting. I wouldn't say it caught me off guard. I was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense for me. And I know people have been like, I never saw that coming. What the heck? It just came out of nowhere for me. And for me, it was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So for me, I liked it. I thought it was interesting. And again, I'd really like to see a book on more her future and her past and getting to know more about her. I feel like in this book, we didn't really get to see as much of her as I would have preferred. We obviously, though, can't spend forever with each and every character as I would like, especially because it's not their stories, sadly. But hopefully we will get their stories one day. I will live in hope. Tamlin throughout this whole book just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and I was like, oh my god, please. I need you to be redeemed a little bit. I don't think this badly of you. I think that this isn't you, fully you, like, come on. And then he was, and I was happy. I cried at the line where he says, be happy, Freya. I thought that was really beautiful and touching, and I'm happy that he was redeemed. He definitely is a very flawed character, but that's okay. But I think he's come to realize that, and hopefully now he's going to be working on his flaws. I'd also love to see him and Lucien maybe have a really long talk and discussion, and hopefully try and work things out, because I think it's nice, and I think it would be really good for Tamlin to have some good friends at this point. I think he needs them. I've also seen some complaints about the sex in this book. Did you not read Akamath? Guess what? There was sex in here. This is marketed as a you adult book, and personally I'm all for the sex. I want to do a video about sex in YA and why I think it's needed and why I think it's not represented right. I mean, Freya and Rhys is a young couple and they're in love. They've just been together recently. They're gonna have lots of sex. I mean, it's not like that for every relationship, but it obviously is for theirs. You can skip over them if you don't want to read them. That's completely fine. However, I think it's Sarah J Maas's book, and if she wants to put sex in there, then more power to her, and it's something I will fully stand behind. I also think that something that Sarah J Maas does really well is she creates realistic characters, especially in the fact that Freya is such a realistic character. You've got the surviving post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma and abuse in Freya just itself as one example of many, and to see her rebuilding herself and coming to terms with it all is just so important, and it's addressed more in here too, where I've read some books where something traumatic can happen to a character and then the chapter after that they'll be like processing it and everything like that and still traumatize it, and then the chapter after that they're completely fine, it's never addressed again. I'm really happy that this series really takes a realistic turn with it all, and it's a long building process, and I think that this series does a good job of representing that, and it's something I will be forever grateful for that this series does. Also, a quick note, again, something I'm just going to touch on lightly, the niece and nephew at the start there. For me personally, I think it may have been misinterpreted, maybe a bad choice of words. I think it was obvious to Freya and it was obvious to me, but maybe it was a bad choice of words and it wasn't obvious to everyone. Personally, I saw it as that niece and nephew was like incesty or evil and they only had eyes for each other. I didn't really see it as a dig at all to asexuality or anything like that. Personally, that's my opinion. That's all I'm going to get into the spiel. I just thought I'd quickly mention it. Also loved how Freya had consequences for her actions. Freya is also a flawed being. I love Freya, but every character is flawed, and it's important that we realize that. And Freya in this book really realized the consequences of the start of her actions. She did a lot of things in the Spring Court, took them down, and then realized later in the book that maybe that wasn't the best thing to do, and her actions had consequences, and now she had to live with them and deal with that. And I think it's important, and I believe that Freya grew from it, and I think it's important to see that characters can make the bad decisions. Revenge in this way isn't always the best option. And I think it was important that we got to see the consequences of Freya's actions. And Freya did too, and she realized from them and hopefully is going to grow from them. You can never stop learning and you can never stop growing as a person, and I think that's a really good message to bring. Also, when the dad showed up there at the end, little tears, very happy. I was really happy that we got to see him a little bit, and he himself also was redeemed a bit too. You know, he wasn't the best father in ACOTAR and shit like that, but he seemed like he redeemed himself there at the end, but then he died, and I was like, oh, but good, you know. We had a very happy ending in this book. It was very happy. As I said, I knew that Reese wasn't going to die, even though when he did die, I knew, I'm like, no, I've seen the spoiler, I know he lives. From the ACOTAR colouring book, I know this, but I was still like, no, this is wrong, and I like banged my book against the couch in anger and frustration, and I cried, because even though I knew he was going to survive, I don't want to see my baby hurt like that and dead. Alright, that's not something you ever want to see. Even if you know they're gonna come back to life, you're like, no. But then we also had Armin. Armin came back too. He's like, I saw Armin, and I was like, I pulled her back because I asked her if she wanted to come back, and she did. And I was like, yay, we're happy family again. It was very happy ending, and it's definitely not something I'm complaining about. If authors want to throw the happiest endings at me, I will definitely not complain, because my little heart can't take much trauma and heartbreak. So it's not something that I complain, but I can definitely understand it was a little bit cheesy, the ending, but not something that I personally disliked. Also, Durian had me a little bit shook. Didn't see that coming. Probably should have. I think there were little hints throughout it maybe that Durian wasn't the bad guy that he was painted out to be, but I was happy at that revelation, and just a little bit shook too. Not too much, but a little bit. The first place that I cried at the end, and I also cried towards the more middle endish of the book when the Cyril died. Cyril? I don't know how to say his name at all actually, so this is just me guessing, but I felt that was a really touching scene. And oh my gosh, I loved it, and it was just a beautiful scene, and I really loved that scene, and it made me cry for the first time in the book, which I was like, when's the tears gonna come? Is the tears not gonna come? And then they came when it died, and I was like, shit. Here are the tears that I was expecting. So overall, there are my thoughts and my feelings. There is a lot more that I could say, but this video would go on for a lot more longer, and I don't think that that's needed. Feel free to have a discussion with me in the comments below of what you thought of A Court of Wings and Ruin. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? As I said at the very start, I don't think anything could really hold up to me for ACOMAF. I thought that book was fucking fantastic and perfect and everything that I needed. I say perfect, like it had its flaws, but it was like, oh, listen, books can have flaws and you can still enjoy them. That's a PSA. There we go. If this didn't follow ACOMAF, this book would be no question a 5 out of 5 stars. It was really fucking good, and I really enjoyed my time reading it. Because it followed ACOMAF, I don't think it personally could have given me as much joy as ACOMAF did in that moment, but I think it held up pretty fucking high. And I'm definitely giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. These books are really good. I won't call them my guilty pleasure reads. I don't think they're guilty pleasure reads. I think they're fantastic, and I will recommend them to pretty much everyone. If you want a really fun book with really good character development and strong characters and oh, beautiful Reese, then read this series. Obviously you have if you've gotten that far, but read it anyway. Read it again, because it's fucking fantastic. So that's my book talk of A Court of Wings and Ruins. As I said in the comments below, let me know what you thought of it. I'd love to have a discussion with you about it, and like this video if you liked it, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye!